Sure, sports are games, but coaches and players are held to higher performance standards than we do political leaders and employees. So I'm going to expand on this a bit. I mean, just think about how some people treat sports. They make fun of sports and say, this is a game. These people are just adults playing games. Why are they being paid this much? What's the importance with it? And right now, with this shutdown, sports is not on TV, and people are like, oh, our lives are okay. And so people are like, oh, sports needs to come back and these things. So there's arguments for that. But I want to talk about specifically with the actual players themselves, with the actual coaches, with the actual structure of what a team is. Look at the standards that we hold them to. You have situations where I think recently it was the Toronto Raptors. They had a thing where their coach or their general manager took them to, I think, the best record in the league. Then they went to the playoffs, and I think they lost in the second round or something to LeBron James's team. And then LeBron James's team ended up going and actually, I don't know if they actually played in the finals. They lost in the finals. I think they lost in the finals to, wait, did they lose in the finals or did they actually beat the? I think it was a year. It was a year where they beat or they lost to the Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors were stacked. That's when Kevin Durant was actually healthy and things like that, and it was just like ridiculous, dream team type of thing. And anyway, so that happened, and then the next year they fired him, and then I think Masai Ujiri came in or something, and then I think Nick Nurse might have come in if he was a coach or something like that, and then Kawhi Leonard entered, and then they actually won the league, the league championship, and that's the standards these teams are held to. It's like, hey, you're playing to win. You are the top of the world. You are the best of the best in the world. You have access to the best resources. You have access to the best coaches. You have access to the best workouts, the best athletes. You're supposed to put that time in and hold yourself to such a high standard that you can win one year and still be fired the next year because your standards are so high. You see this also in soccer, football, in the Premier League, in Serie A, in the Bundesliga, in La Liga, these top leagues, these top flight things like Barcelona and Real Madrid, this is going up and forth, back and forth. And it's like, hey, you just lose a few points. You're still number two in the league, but your coach can get fired because you're not playing for number two. This is big stakes. And this is the thing. We hold people playing games to such high standards where it's okay, even the fans, they understand, even the fans of teams that are not at the top, they still want the best out of those people. They understand that we are demanding you guys bring in the top flight kind of effort. But why can't we carry on that same kind of energy when we talk about something like the World Health Organization? When we talk about something like the United Nations? What is their target? Is their target to have 50-50 success rate? 50% to be okay on what they do, and the things that they're okay at. It's not a game. It's lives on the line in this situation. And my opinion is, I want this to be a kind of situation where we hold these people to a higher standard. I thought about this some time back. I made a video about it where I was like, okay, the United Nations, I came to a realization that, hey, in the past we didn't have the access to communication, the kind of divisions we had between countries. We had lack of communication, lack of ability to actually calculate how to change supply trains and get help to this place or try to understand these people enough to discuss with them and actually have some kind of diplomatic result to something. Either have the trade routes where you can actually build up connections and things like that, educate people enough to get over these old kind of divisions that we have on each other. There wasn't the ability to do that. So I was thinking, now that we have this, now the United Nations can actually be the United Nations, so I should stop holding it to such a high standard. And then just shortly after that, I realized that, hey, wait, if we now have developed all these things that we can do these, we can communicate and we can discuss this way, maybe the United Nations is obsolete because it was created in an older world with an older reality. Maybe it's time to look at these things and either defund them or restart them and rebuild them in a different way with the new realities of the world. And something that I think has been tested with this current pandemic situation is some of these institutions that we thought were appropriate and able to do these things have turned out to be quite lacking. Some of these communities, the sort of globalization that has actually occurred, and I am pro-globalization, I think that is what is happening in the world, but the form of globalization that we had is not through liberty. It's not through choice. It's not through individuals deciding to freely associate with each other for each other's mutual benefit. It's been benefiting a small group of people, almost cartels, almost cabals, at the harm of the greater public, of the greater people involved in this. the need for these institutions is still there. It is not being met. The need to win those championships remains. It's just that sometimes the crew that you have on your team trying to win that championship may be perfectly good and capable people in and of themselves, but sometimes you need to fire everyone and rebuild that team, hire new people, draft new people, and hold them to those highest standards, those highest performance standards. So every year they know, yes, we won last year, but we have to say, forget last game, we're moving on to the last game. Yes, we may have been okay on the last pandemic, we may have been okay on the last thing, helping a few countries in Africa do this and this, but that's not enough. We need to be excellent. We need to be perfect. Lives are on the line with this thing. I think that's one thing to think of. Till next video, this is part of my shorties series. I'll get to some more of these. Goodbye. Oh yeah, sorry. Like, share, and subscribe. Links below to the merchandise store. Should be merchandise on the screen going on right now. If you want to help me out, there's a PayPal link as well for one-time donations. And I'll get the subscribe star and Patreon thing up and going. Let me know what you guys think about these things. Why do you think that is, by the way? Why do you think we have a situation where we're holding people who play games to higher standards? Do you think maybe it's because we've played games in ourselves and we kind of have a better understanding of what it takes to do that? So maybe with the World Health Organization, people just kind of think, oh, that's okay. Because just thinking that, I think people falsely have a false sense of comfort that that was a system that actually works. Because I see some people defending it and I'm asking them, why do you have actual belief and trust in this, and they can't really back it up. Anyway, that's it. Goodbye.